This episode is sponsored by UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Altoona Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor the 2023 high school football preview on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Week 4 of the High School Football Show on Mirror TV on your YouTube channel there. I am Scott Franco, your host, joined again by Andy Stein, football guru, and still not back on vacation from some ocean somewhere on the planet. We have a guest with us. He is I don't know what he is. He's called Guru X. Guru X will be doing football for us this week, and we hope he can be as good as Mike. We don't know if he can, but Mike was having such a good time on vacation, he didn't want to come back. So, before we do start, we had Dan do the drum roll, please. We are blessed by a lot of really good fans who send us stuff. Yeah. And the other day, Dan Eisberg, our director, told me, goes, Scotty, there's something behind you on a desk, and I'll never be a private detective. This beautiful Penn Cambria helmet was behind me on the desk, and I didn't even see it. Andy wants to put it there in front for the night.
This thing's sweet, too.
It is. It's really good. I know that's Carolina blue, but I'm sure they call it Panther blue.
Yeah, that's all right.
But they've got a note here. It says Scott, Mike, Andy, though it doesn't say Guru X on it. Great show. Thanks for all you guys do. Dane, Harold, go Panthers. So Garrett and Gavin, Harold's dad, who has sent us stuff in the past, too. I know that's how I got. No favoritism here. I use this cup every night. You eat dinner with me. Guru X here does not always, but he'll learn that I do. This cup just is no favoritism. Penn Cambria.
Thank you, Mr. Harold.
Yes, thank you very much. If anybody else wants to send us a helmet, maybe some other Blair County schools. I know we got BG, we got Central, we got Hollidaysburg. Do we have a Bellwood helmet? In our stacks there?
Yeah, we don't.
A Bellwood helmet would be nice.
Cool.
I know we have we have the Altoona hat.
Yeah,
but, maybe someday we'll get the other teams and everything. Yeah. Maybe we can get a Williamsburg helmet, even though they don't have a football team, but that would be nice.
Yeah. Bumper stickers, decals, too.
Yes, but anyways, we're going to go right into Week 4. We did get Guru, I keep want to call him Guru 10, but it's Guru X. Guru X actually gave us 5 games that he thought Mike would like. The first one we're going to talk about is Altoona 2-1 at State College 1-1. State College didn't play last week because their game with Hollidaysburg got canceled because of the weather. Guru X, what have you been told by Mike about the Altoona State College game?
Well, Mike told me he didn't want to come back from Mexico, and he sent me here instead to talk about it because
can't blame him.
He just really liked the weather down there and just worried about the getting cold up here. And I don't know too much about the weather here in Pennsylvania. I'm sure it's just beautiful like it is this week all the time, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. So I don't know why he didn't want to come back here. And
there's no hurricanes here.
No, that's true.
The perfect thing to come back to is this rivalry game, Altoona and State College. So I don't know why he wouldn't want to be here for this. Some rumors are that he may be covering that game, but Altoona showed that they can compete with State College last year when they only lost 28-7 in the district championship game. Now that game, interestingly, was State College coming off a week where they didn't play the week before, just like they are this week because they didn't play against Hollidaysburg last week. And I'm thinking that, State College has been chewing to get back on the field because they had lost to Downingtown East the week before that.
Yes, you're right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they make out in this game. Altoona has gotten a big performance from Braun Mosley so far this season. They really have gotten him to the point where they can depend on him. Coach Niedermeyer, when he talked to Mike over the phone or fax or however they talked from Mexico, he said that they really did a good job building him up and that he's finally living up to the potential that they saw in him this year. And we'll see what he can do now that the levels of competition is going up a little bit with getting into the mid-pen schedule.
Well, I'm curious, because State College did not play last week, is it as simple as saying if Altoona has any kind of advantage is that they're coming off of a game and they're not, and as somebody who played, does that give them any kind of advantage?
Especially for State College's instance, it's been 3 weeks now. Well, it'll be 3 weeks on Friday since they got a win. I'm sure they were chomping at the bit to play Hollidaysburg last week, and then when they didn't, I mean, that's tough. I mean, football players are all creatures of habit. That's tough when you're supposed to play a game and you never do, and you never know, that might not be rescheduled. So, that's tough, and I'm sure State College is even going to be even more chomping at the bit to play against Altoona and play well on Friday night.
And one last thing to say about that before we get to the next game. I know for a fact Hollidaysburg did everything it could to try to play that game Saturday and Sunday, and they could not get any help from the other side. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Our next game that Guru X has been told, and Guru X, you are a pro wrestler. Is that what you are? I'm curious in case anybody out there is watching and wondering, what does he do for a living?
I have plenty of talent.
Okay. We have Central 3-0 at Bellwood-Antis 0-3, and I know you and I were talking last week after Bellwood had lost Huntington. Have they ever been 0-3? And maybe you know that stat, Guru. I mean, what are you expecting from on paper, this looks like this could be an ugly game.
Well, Bellwood's had a few down seasons. They've had a couple years where they were right around 500, but I think that everybody kind of expected this year to be a little bit of a struggle for them, but I don't know that anybody really expected them to struggle as much as they have. The loss to Huntington, especially in the manner that it was last week, was a little eye-opening. On the other side of the coin, I don't think anybody expected Central. I know a lot of people picked Central in the paper. Now, Mike Boytim actually picked Tyrone to win that game, which could be part of the reason he's staying in Mexico. However, the Central has just exceeded expectations because even though you picked Central, I don't think you thought that they would win 42-7.
No, I did
not
not.
That bad, no.
Yeah, I know my family. A couple members of my family were like, "What are you doing?" And I just think Central's gonna, and the Central's at home, and especially when that game kept getting delayed to like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I just thought, you know what, I'm picking Central, and I think now the one question I ask for you of is Central at a disadvantage because they're going only 3 days rest in between a Friday and a Monday game, or do you not see that as a problem?
Yeah, it's hard because, it's especially hard early in the week because you go from playing a game on Monday night and you got to go straight to practice the next day. Usually you have, I would think, at least a couple days off. I know I at least had a couple days off, but there's not a whole lot of preparation time. You're kind of forced to, work right away, basically. So, that's tough, but the kids are resilient. High school kids are resilient. They should be ready on Friday.
Does that worry you that they have to rest only 3 days? Like if you're Bellwood, you sit there and think, hey, maybe they might be a little slower, a little tired, maybe just playing a physical game on a Monday night. You're going to play on Friday night.
Well, it's tough to say. I think that you never know how kids are going to respond. I think it's early enough in the season where maybe they haven't had the wear and tear on their bodies, like a 30-year wrestling career will do to you. Whereas I think that they probably will be okay. Bellwood is also, I wanted to point out that Alex McCartney has been a real bright spot for Bellwood. He's ran for over 400 yards as only a freshman. And we'll see. I want to see what he can do against a team like Central.
You got to remember, the NFL guys, sometimes they're forced to play on Sunday afternoon and then play again Thursday night. You hear how much those guys hate it. I think it's going to be a lot of the same way in high school too. I mean, it's not easy, but it's the hand they've been dealt this week.
That's a great point, Andy. And I want to point out that I'm very glad that there are weight restrictions in wrestling, because I wouldn't want to have to go up against a competitor of yours.
That's right. We got to figure out. Maybe we get people calling and suggest what would Andy's wrestling name be if Anyway, we call him the Paginator. What? Anyways, our next game, Huntington coming off a win over Bellwood, 1-2 at BG, and I think Huntington BG used to play when I was in high school, and that was 79-83. But BG, I mean, I like BG. I picked BG in the paper this week. What do you think about Huntington's chances in this one?
Well, I read in the paper that we had a quote from a Huntington player, I think it was Tyler Long or something like that. He said that win against Bellwood was program changing. And, how that stuff gets thrown out there sometimes. But, hey, Huntington hasn't won a game that big in a long time. And when Mike Boytim talked to Coach Wheeler via phone, he said that they really, teams that are getting to play BG for the first time this year have been getting more amped up because they've seen all the success BG's had. They've seen the state titles. They want a chance to be able to say, hey, we beat BG. So that is like a compounding factor coming off the fact that they already got this huge win. So a team like Huntington, hey, maybe, if this game's played 10 times, they don't win that many of them, but anybody can win one, and they have all the momentum, and they believe in themselves right now, which is important.
How much do you give credence to that? Do you think that Huntington, even though on paper BG's a favorite, Huntington, and they got to go to BG too?
Yeah, well, the one thing I'll definitely agree, that could be a program-changing win for sure for Huntington. I mean, they've been looking for a win like that for quite some time now. But I will say they got an uphill battle on Friday night for sure.
And I think if BG is they're like the high school Notre Dame, and it's not just the Catholic thing, they're polarizing.
Right.
I mean, if you go to BG and you root for them, you love them. If you don't, high school kids want to play BG and they want to beat BG.
Oh, absolutely.
And maybe that's what Huntington will have to rely on. Our next game here is, and again, I'll get in trouble from my family, Tyrone, 1-2 at Bald Eagle Area 3-0. And Bald Eagle's most impressive win to me so far was that win at Penns Valley.
Oh, the Penns Valley game.
When they were down 17-2 at halftime. Yeah. You and I were talking about this when I thought, wow, Penns Valley's really good. And Bald Eagle came back and won. And now Tyrone, coming off that 42-7 beating, has got to now play a really good Bald Eagle. And I know for a fact, John Franco, the Tyrone coach, did not want to have to play Monday, Friday. But like you said, dealt the hand. How good is this Bald Eagle team? Mike's probably told you information about them.
Hey, don't forget that Bald Eagle opened the season by beating BG.
Bishop Guilfoyle.
So that's another really nice win for them.
When do they play Central? Do they play Central?
Oh, well, they're not in the same division.
See, I would love to see that game.
That'd be a fun game.
That's must-see TV. Well, anyways.
They, Central... Bald Eagle area has a great quarterback that's a junior. It's the coach's son, Carson Nagel. He is really where their offense starts, and they were able to run the ball pretty well against BG. I just think Tyrone needs to get their offense going. I was listening to the game as I was traveling up here from Mexico, and on Monday, and I heard that I heard that Tyrone just could not move the ball very well against Central. They had an interception early in the game there where they could have tied the game possibly.
And they did nothing with the ball.
They were deep in Central territory, could not move the ball. Now, I don't know how much that has to do with Draven Kroll being injured, one of their top receivers. But either way, they've got to get something figured out offensively. They've got to get an identity. They have the players to do it. They have good guys on the offensive line. Braden Ewing.
John Stanton,
you said about him earlier. Brady Ronan's healthy this year. Ashton Watt could be one of the better quarterbacks in the area. Andrew Weaver's a good receiver. They have the weapons. They just need to put points on the board.
Yeah, as far as Tyrone, I mean, if you got somebody asked you for your advice, what would you say for Tyrone?
Forget about it, move on. And I know that's tough to do on just 3 days rest right now. That, like I said before, the NFL guys hate it. I'm sure the high school guys don't really like it either. But I think, I know it's going to be a tough game on Friday against Bald Eagle. That's not easy, but hey, you got to get some positives going. If you start moving the ball this week, hey, that's fine. Let's move and let's improve on that. Maybe get a win next week. So, just look for any positives you can for Tyrone because Mike's. Guru X is right.
Guru X. Yeah. Our last game we're going to talk about here, and it's Hollidaysburg 1-1 at Butler 2-1. Hollidaysburg has not played in several weeks, and I'm the only one in the paper that picked this week. I have a brother who works out in Butler, and he told me Butler's 2-1. He goes, but they're not. From what he's read in their paper, and I hadn't seen them, but he thinks that they look like he's read like they're a beatable team. That's why I thought I might take Hollidaysburg, but. Guru X, what have you heard about the Butler? What are they, the Butler Bulldogs or something? Butler Bakers or?
Well, they were able to just barely edge Meadville, who's had a pretty good program over the years, and then they played Brashear, who we know haven't had a good program for quite some time. They used to play Hollidaysburg in the playoffs every once in a while. And other than that, we don't really know much about them. They are playing a District 10 schedule again this year, despite that next year they're going back to playing Whitfield's schedule. And that's kind of helped them build up their program a little bit. Kids didn't want to come out for the football team because they weren't very good. And then finally they started winning some games, being in District 10 here, and it's helped build them back up. And now that they're a more formidable foe, maybe they'll do better on their next trip back into the Whitfield. But for Hollidaysburg, this is a game that they can win. All three games that they've had this year are games, obviously they didn't play the state college game, but they're Allegheny game and their Altoona game, all of them, including this one, they all could have went any way. So this is good for Hollidaysburg, one way or another. They're playing close games, they're playing competitive games against good teams. It will only help them when the postseason comes around.
And Butler got crushed by Shaler, I think, to start the season. As far as whenever you're playing teams that you didn't know a lot about, I mean, how much can you count? I got to think they're watching film, right? Or the coach is watching it and then relaying that to them.
I'm sure there's film involved. I'm sure they have at least something going on, especially when they've played 3 games so far. But I think for Hollidaysburg, you got to look for kind of the same thing with State College. It's been 3 weeks since they got that win over Altoona, so I'm sure they're chomping at the bit. It's tough because Butler's not an easy trip, but I expect Hollidaysburg to be ready to go on Friday too.
Okay, now before we start our litany of stuff,
for anybody that's traveling that game from Hollidaysburg, Rachel's Roadhouse is an amazing place to eat. Mike told me about that.
In Butler?
Yeah.
Look at this. It's not only a football information show, it's a culinary delight restaurant.
Hey,
Hey, real quick, before we get into the other stuff, I want to do some shout-out stuff. There's a young man from Karn City who got hurt, Mason Martin. He was a quarterback.
Yep.
He's doing better. But a team from our area really did a nice thing last Friday night. The Bedford Football Boosters and their cheerleaders raised money during their game last week and sent a really nice, healthy-sized check up to Karn City to help out with that family that has to do all the traveling back and forth to Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh, which is where he is. And I think I've heard his name's Mason Martin. He's doing well. You've heard that?
Yeah, I've heard it's better than it was, at least definitely from 2 weeks ago for sure. But Yeah, I think it's from what it sounds like. He has his good days and he has his bad days, but overall, I mean, there's at least a little bit of improvement.
Yeah, and I thought that was just awesome. He did it. And the other shout out. This is just a personal one for mine. And as football people in here on Friday night, we see some unbelievably lopsided scores. To which I always wonder, like, why didn't you just take your people out? Altoona was up 35-0 at halftime. Mifflin County. That's what it ended up. And I know for a fact Vince Niedermeyer had all his backups in the second half, and I do. I just think you don't hear enough good things. I know there are coaches. I know there are coaches in Center County who sometimes would run up in the past. Vince Niedermeyer Jr., shout out there for getting your backups in, getting your backups playing time in a game that he knew he was, he could have put up another 35
probably
on there. But so kudos to Vince. Right now, Guru X is going to try Mike's stat of the week. We're going to see how he does, and maybe if he does well, we let him come back next week. Maybe you make a cameo at Halloween. Yeah. But Guru X, what is the stat of the week Michael wants you to share with us?
Well, first of all, the biggest stat of the week is that the teams in our area are going to have to send several helmets and decals and all that stuff to us to get Mike back here, so he's feeling happy and appreciated, I think. Second of all, obviously I love green. I'm Guru X. It's all over my face. So I got to go with Juniata Valley being 3-0. They're the only team in the ICC North without a loss. I know we had Jet Rand asking why we haven't talked about Juniata Valley on the show yet. Well, there they are. They're 3-0. They're the only team in the ICC North. They play Claysburg this week. Good chance to get to 4-0. And maybe if we had a Juniata Valley helmet, we would talk more about them.
As Guru X was talking about it, I looked at our collection over here in the corner because we can't get every helmet on here. I thought a Juniata Valley helmet would look nice.
It would look all right.
Speaking of looking nice, your line of the week where Dan has that great sound effect that comes in, Andy Stein's line of the week.
Yeah, there we go.
Short steps. Short steps are better than long steps.
All right, Central Cambria. You are my line of the week. This 12-7 win over Bedford. Hey, Central Cambria is 2-1. Good for them. 307 rushing yards last week against Bedford. Left tackle, Jake Russell. Left guard, David Smith. Center, Blaine O'Farrell. I like that name, by the way. Right guard, Declan Eastep.
That's a cool one.
That's a good one, too. Right tackle, Blake Kaposki. I hope I got that right. Tight end, George Dill, as in like dill pickles.
There you go. That's an easy one.
Good job for those guys.
And then, I don't know if Mike told you about Guru X, but he loves our cool name segment.
Yeah.
It's such attention given to this segment by Mike. I feel bad that I can't share this with him.
It's legendary in Mexico. Everybody talks about Scott Franco cool names. It's so exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if they call me like L something. Anyway.
El Generico.
El Generico, there you go.
I wanna know what's the name of the game.
Our week 4 cool names. They're both sophomores from Central. Isaac Fidesco. Part biblical, part Italian. I kind of like that.
I like that.
Together, and I also Isaac Fidesco. I've known since he was a little kid. He was my next door neighbor, and then they moved to Central when they grew up and became Lyman. So I mean, we could have used them at Hollidaysburg, but hey, that's their family's choice to move to the Cove. That's all right.
Richie's Ice Cream. Why would you not?
Sure.
Isaac Fidesco, and then from Bellwood-Antis, just because I like how this sounds, Jace Quick, sophomore Lyman, Jace Quick. But that's our cool names. And real quick too, I don't know if Dan can zoom in, but our show, this is like a little serious, but our show was nominated for a 2023 Golden Quill finalist for a sports video program. Mike Boytim, Scott Franco, Dan Eisberg, Andy Stein. So I do. We didn't win. We lost to something involving a pogo stick.
Yeah.
That's all right. Everybody has their favorites. But I mean, we do. I mean, we try to be funny. We try to be informational, and because we try like that, we're not moving off YouTube, but we are going to be on public access TV in Blair County starting next week. But we will not sacrifice the integrity of this show, which means you could still see a rubber chicken fly onto the table at some point during our show, but we do that because we care.
And you can't cancel us. We're on public access.
That's right.
Yeah.
But for Guru, and I want to say it again, Guru 10, Guru X, Andy Stein, Dan Eisenberg, I'm Scott Franco. Thanks for watching. We will see you and hopefully Michael Boytim next week.
Yeah, where's Mike?